Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of All About Aspen. It's a special episode which I love Lando. Level Up Lando, a show that takes you inside the struggles, the trials, the tribulations, and the occasional success. That is the everyday struggle of my life as I pursue my never-ending effort of trying to level up. I'm your host, Landon Like a Plane, and I'm coming to you from Truscott Studios, also known as my bedroom, right here in lovely Aspen, Colorado. Today is Wednesday, October 29th at 1:04 p.m. on what is a very bluebird, sunshiny, somewhat cold as we head into winter as fall presses on. October Wednesday day, fall day here in Aspen. And this is a red letter day, folks. This is a big one. This is what it has all been culminating towards. I've been working my ass off, and today is the day that I am going to declare success. I'm declaring victory. I'm declaring a win in life and in what I've been up to with running this business. This right here, this is bona fide proof. I haven't even opened it. Let's check it out. I wanted to do this on the podcast. Oh no. I wonder if that's going to be a problem. Anyways, oh, okay, that should work. Well, and that's kind of cool then, actually, because this will be the first check that's written to Aspen Drone Company. I was thinking that might be a problem, but it says doing business as. So that's pretty awesome. And what we got here, the reason you see a smile on my face is this is a $4,500 check, and that's only half of what I'm owed. $9,000 is the total amount, and this is a lot of money. This is a lot of money in the world. Here, let me show you. Let's juxtapose this against how much money is actually in my bank account right this second. So you can see why this is a big deal, and I probably shouldn't show you the screen, but it doesn't really show any pertinent information, but whatever. I'm going to show it to you so you guys can see what the situation is. Can you see that? It says $61, $61.11. $61.11, and I got another bank account, so we'll be totally transparent here. Let me show you my second bank account. $38.70 and one in my savings account. So we got $39.74 and $61.11. So I got $100. I got $100. I got $100 to my name. $100. And today I went and picked up a check that changes that whole thing. Now I got $4,600. And it's just the beginning. It's a symbol. It's a milestone moment, and it is a way to mark this period of time as the turning point and when the transition from somebody who has been struggling to earn a living his whole life. I mean, since I was 15 years old and I got my first job working at the movie theater, Harkins Shea 14. It's been a rough situation. It's been a really rough go at trying to earn a living, making minimum wage I was 15 when I got that job. And now I'm 40. So that was a good, nearly 3 years that it took me to figure out how to, one, earn good money. I've been earning good money since I moved to Aspen. I figured out how to earn good money pretty early on. I figured out work for cash and work for rich people because they tip better. So I've been working in hospitality and restaurants my whole life, and it's been hard. I've definitely been working well below my potential, given that I have a degree from a pretty top university, the University of California, San Diego. And I come from a pretty high end education. And so to work minimum wage for 30 years, and to be in debt for that student loans that got me the degree that didn't get me the job has been hard. It's been on top of which trying not to get too beaten down by the world and life in the process of not being able to pay your bills for 30 years every single month, trying to figure out how are you going to make rent, how are you going to be able to survive, how are you going to afford food every single month for 30 years, and to not have the stress and the cortisol like destroy you. Is also, that's a level up, that's a big win for me. And furthermore, to get to live the life that I've lived, because I just refuse to allow my lack of money to prevent me from making my dreams come true. Money wasn't a priority for me, and because it wasn't a priority, I had to figure out how to make my dreams happen without it. And I did that. I mean, I traveled the world for 10 years. I traveled and lived outside of the country and did that broke. When I traveled for a full year through Southeast Asia, I lived on $33 a day. And, that is including paying for my bed. So once you pay for the bed, which is between 10 and 15, you have $15 left. So I got really good at living a life where I made my dreams come true, and I did it on a shoestring budget. I don't need money to be able to go enjoy walking on the beach. That kind of thing is free, and it delights me and gives me great fulfillment. So my point here is that those days are behind me. This check represents the turning point. This check represents the moment in time when Landon stopped struggling to make a dollar and figured out a way to not just make many dollars and pretty good money in my world. Yeah, I'm doing something I love to do. I'm doing something that I enjoy, that's fun for me, and I'm making enough money that I get all my time. Even when I have to go work, even when I go fly the drone, it's a joy. I love going to these amazing properties and getting to shoot these houses, and even driving to them. It's a pleasure to like go to work. And that's different. That's new. This is like one of the first times in my life that I've ever had something where I feel excited to go do work and to contribute and to be of service and to be useful. And all those things are very validating, and they help me to feel like I'm making a contribution and that I'm contributing, to the world. And it's been really, really amazing to get to work for this guy who he reminds me a lot of me, and he's further down the road than I am, and I would love to be where he is. If he's 20 years older than me, I would love to be where he is in his life in 20 years. He's got 2 kids. He's got a beautiful house down in Basalt. He's married, and he's a billionaire. So selling houses to billionaires. And I'm the lowly cameraman flying the drone that gets them to call him, So but it was cool to see. I went down and picked this check up, and I got to meet his accountant, who actually, as a friend, I actually knew him. I didn't realize he worked for this guy. And we were chatting, and in the process of talking to him, it just sort of dawned on me, it's so cool that this guy's able to hire all these different people. He's got an assistant, he's got a marketing director, he's got an accountant, and he's got me, a videographer. So he's got 4 people that I know of, and probably more, on his staff as like helpers in some capacity. And I was thinking about that when I got this check. I was like, man, this guy's like paying the livelihood of 4 different people. And how cool is that to build your business to a point where it makes sense for you to pay other people to do all these different things, and you can afford to do it. I think that's pretty neat. Because I mean, to a certain degree, I'm essentially going to build my whole. This is the backbone of my business now, and so I'm looking for other clients, and I'm going to continue to work, doing other projects. But right now, this guy's giving me the repeat business that I've been looking for, and then also paying me the kind of money that I've needed to get. And so now I'm finally into a position. Now, don't get me wrong, it can all come off the rails at any second. I mean, a series of dumb choices on my part, and this whole thing comes apart. Losing this client, and this whole thing comes apart. This is a celebration, and this is definitely a touchdown dance. But it's just the game; it's not the season. And so, in that way, I still got a lot of work to do, but it'll be so much easier when I have thousands of dollars in my bank account. I'm looking at buying another drone. I'm going to pay 2 months rent with this, and that's half this check. And then I'll have like $2,000 left. And then I'm looking at maybe getting a drone with that. That's 1,500. So that leaves me with 500. And then I get the other half of this check when I finish these videos. So that'll be another 4,500. So then I'll have 6,500 and a new drone already, and 2 months worth of rent paid for. So then I think I'm going to spend another $1,000 on food at Costco, and that'll give me $5,000. I'll have $5,000 that's just cushioned now, and and then I've still got 3 more videos that I'm going to do for them, so that's another $6,000. So now we're at $11,000, and we're rocking and rolling. Now I've got a little bit of an emergency fund. I can start allocating money to pay bills automatically, and I'll have a safety net and a cushion for the first time since I taught English in Korea in 2010, when I was able to stack $15,000 in 9 months. But since then, it's now 2025. So that's a 15-year stretch where every single month I didn't know how I was going to pay my rent. And now I'm paying it 2 months early. Yeah. Oh man, it's a really good feeling. It feels like relief. And I'm not even really there yet, but this is just, I didn't want to celebrate until I had the money in my account. And even though it's not all the money, half of it is still a massive amount of money for me. So I am really excited. I'm getting ready to go. I'm going to ride. Once I'm done doing this, I'm going to go ride my bike down to my e-bike, which I got in a video deal, which is so dope. This e-bike is so sick. So I'm going to ride it down to the bank and deposit this bad boy. And I'm feeling so, just alleviated. I hope that they take it. It says pay to the Aspen drone company, not to my name, but then it says doing business as. Oh man. So as I was coming home and I was walking in my house with this check in my pocket, I was looking at my apartment, and I was thinking about how this apartment is incredible, and my rent it's rent controlled, so it's only going to go up slowly over the next decade. And so I'm in a position now where if I start earning $100,000 or $150,000 a year, I can only make $150,000 before I make too much money to live in this unit. And then I can qualify for different units where if you make more money, they have different, like they have housing and stuff like that. So I can potentially buy a house here in Aspen through the employee housing program and have a house and have an actual house that I own for like $200,000, so that would be the next step from here. But before then, if I'm making like 100 up to like 149,000, I can just stack that money. I mean, I can still, like, I live on like 24,000. That's one of the things. I was talking with a friend earlier. He's going through a hard time. like, you ever think about starting your own business? And he was like, yeah, I've thought about it. And I was like, because my vision was all I had to do was replace covering $2,000 a month. Like $2,000 a month covered my rent plus my bills plus food. And in my mind, I was like, that's just not that hard, to make $1,000. Like I was making like $800 a week after tax. I was making like $1,000 a week. So I guess it was 2 grand. No, yeah, maybe it was 3,200. Maybe it was 3,200. So, but I don't know. In my mind, it was 2 grand. So, because 2 grand does cover my bills and my expenses. And so, making 3,200, but having 2 grand go to bills, it was like 1,200 bucks left over. And I was like, man, there's got to be a better way. I can do something that can cover my bills and my food. And all I need is 2 grand to do that. And so I took the leap and, did this thing where I started my own company, and it's worked. It's worked. And now I've got the proof, now I've got the dollars in the bank account. And that is such validation. It's such reassurance that all this work, all this time, all the ups and the downs and the concern and the worry is over. It's the proof is in the pudding. I've done it. I've made the kind of money I'm trying to make, and I'm only going to continue to make more. So I'm only going to get better, and I'm only going to get better gear. So this is a really big deal. I'm really, really thrilled with both myself and the situation and my life here in Aspen. Aspen's one of the most exclusive places in the world, the whole planet. Where I live is one of the most expensive places on the planet. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason that the billionaires want to have a home here. And there's a reason that in order to have a home here, the house costs $50 million, because it's in that such demand and there's enough people that are willing to pay that kind of money that they can get $50 million for it. And then there's little old Landon living in this dope apartment. I'm looking out my window onto Red Mountain, where I can see a $20 million mansion easily. And I live closer to town than they do. It takes them 20 minutes to get to town in their $50 million mansion. In my cheap employee housing, I could get to town in 10 minutes on my e-bike. So in my mind, as far as the housing goes, I win. Yeah, they have a way more luxurious house, but still, I'm not a billionaire. If you're talking regular person compared to billionaire, I think that I came out way ahead. And that's just been what's so amazing to me. That's what I've been thinking about a lot since I got this check is how I just fought and fought and fought to get to this point. And that despite having it be an uphill battle filled with adversity and challenges to overcome, my life is amazing. What I was thinking to myself is, outside of the money, with the exception of the money, my life is insanely rich. I've got unbelievable friendships. I've got a great family, and my living situation is just my whole life. My living situation has been, an 11 out of 10. I'm from LA. I lived in Scottsdale, which, admittedly, a lot of people rag on Scottsdale, but I really like my time living in Phoenix. Then San Diego, and went to school in La Jolla. Then I traveled all over the world, and now Aspen for the last decade. So as far as where I've gotten to live in the world, it's been some of the best places on the planet. And that's not by accident. I was deliberate in my intention to do that, even though I struggled. I always just figured I might as well struggle in paradise. If I'm going to struggle anywhere, I learned that lesson in Ohio. I was living in Ohio selling cell phones in a mall and working on 100% commission. So I would go to work for 8 hours and not sell a single phone, and I would make $0. It was really hard. And at one point I realized I can be broke anywhere. I don't have to be broke in Ohio. Like, if I'm not going to have any money, I can go someplace cool and not have money. And that's when I went and did my first winter season in Winter Park here in Colorado. And that's when I went and worked as a lifty. And then pretty shortly after that, found out I have to work while everybody's skiing, and this sucks. And so then I ended up getting a job as a bellman, working nights from 4 to like midnight. And so not only did I make more money, not only did I get to earn tips, I also got to ski all day. And the hotel that I worked at was on the mountain. So I could ski like to the hotel and then just change at work and go to work. So I got to ski every day. It was awesome. And that's when I learned the lesson. You don't have to be broke in Ohio. You can be broke anywhere in the world. So you might as well go be broke somewhere cool. And that's basically what I've done here in Aspen. You know, with the exception of the money, my life is through the roof. Like I live a dream come true, except that I have to struggle to pay my rent every single month, and I don't know how I'm going to eat every single month. And I got good at that. The truth is that I got good at living like that. I got good at stretching a dollar. That's why I only have $100 in my bank account, and I'm not freaking out about it. You know, like the truth is, I can make $100 last a week. So that's a skill. You know, that's something that came from the adversity. It came from my journey, and ultimately, that's where I would arrive at. Is through this whole process, it's the transformation of becoming the kind of man and the kind of person that would be worthy of all these things that I've both built myself and then also earned. And in that process, I think that a lot of the adversity is what helped me to transform. You know, I think that the reason that I had to go the road that I had to go personally is because it took the pain and the suffering and the falling down and having to get back up to arrive at some of the decisions that I've made that I probably wouldn't have made if I had found success earlier in my life. So, for example, I've just my whole life, I've loved to get fucked up. I really love to get stoned, mostly stoned, but you know, whatever kind of fun. I like to party. And at 43 years old, I still really like to party. But the truth is that I haven't had money. And because I haven't had money, I've had to choose, do I want food or do I want weed? And it's like that dire of a situation. Like if I were to try to stretch that $100 a week, I would not buy weed. Couldn't. I'd have to buy food. I'd have 3 food runs. They're about $30 or $40 each. So 3 food runs of 3 days. There you go. 9 days, $100. Hunker down, watch TV, hang out, go for bike rides, do free stuff, enjoy the day. Still have an amazing day. Just spent $0 except for food. So with that, you know, when you don't have any money, you have to make these hard choices. And so it wasn't too hard of a choice. I just couldn't afford to buy weed. And in the same way, I couldn't afford to buy alcohol. Now, alcohol is a substance I've had a lot less affinity for. I love weed, not a huge fan of alcohol. So when it was time to cut out alcohol, it was a no-brainer. Super easy. Not even a difficult decision for me in any way. But what I didn't realize is that even my casual alcohol use, one, cost me quite a bit of money, and two, was having a more of an impact than I realized. Because once I stopped drinking alcohol, that's when, I mean, I hate to say it like this because my mom was always giving me a hard time about being sober. But like once I kind of got sober is when I got successful. That's just what happened. And I think a big part of that is because a lot of my drug use and alcohol use is done out of boredom. And so I would be bored and decide to drink. And now when I'm bored, I push the business forward. I go watch a YouTube video on how to be a better drone pilot or how to take a better photo or how to do better editing. And I grow both myself and the business in that downtime where I'm feeling kind of bored, but I don't actually have work that I need to be doing. And so then I got to come up with something or like whatever, I'll read or play guitar. I'm finding more constructive ways to utilize that downtime so that I'm one, not bored, but two, even something like playing the guitar ultimately has some, second or third, like tertiary impact on the business, right? Like if I'm playing guitar, it's good. It stimulates the brain. It makes me think. And ultimately, it can create a situation where some sort of scenario or creative thought comes into my head that is an answer to something. And that's all from playing the guitar, So they don't necessarily directly correlate, but they indirectly do. And certainly more than drinking. And I think that when that's stacked up, like one day of that, all right, whatever, no big deal. But when you stack that up over 6 months, suddenly these little choices that you make compound and you find yourself successful. That's just what happened to me, and so, yeah, a big part of that are these podcasts, if we're being honest. A big part of the reason I sit down and do these shows is for me because I get to look at this little green book of accountability where I hold myself accountable by going back through it and looking at all the things I had to do and seeing if I did them or not. So with that, let's take a look. So today's the 29th. I am so excited. I cannot wait to go deposit this check. Oh, organize the apartment. Oh my God, my apartment. I've done that. So my apartment was super cluttery. And as I'm making this turn and transitioning to having money and being successful, it means I can get rid of a lot of my stuff. My whole life has been built on secondhand stuff. I learned pretty early on that I can't afford new. And so I have to just make do. Not new, make do. And that's what I got good at. I got good at making do. And a big part of the way that I did that is by buying secondhand used stuff. Another thing is that I hoard. I keep everything because I can't afford to replace it. And so now I'm envisioning a future where I can't afford to replace it. And so I've gone through all of my clothes and I've pulled all the stuff out of my cabinets and I'm putting everything back in a way and I'm purging. And it's it's amazing. It's amazing. And so I'm still in the middle of doing that. So we got to organize the apartment. Organize apartment. What else do we got to do here? Article. I don't know about that. Okay, there we go. Business plan. So now that I got some money, we can plan some of these finances. Finances and budget. It's kind of nice to control your money, I gotta say, as a guy who's never really cared much about money and how to have a financial IQ in any way. It's kind of nice to really know where every cent is going and to allocate it, to like be putting it to where you want it to go, not just letting it go wherever it ends up. Invoice and get paid. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Aspen 1 and a ski pass. We can start working on that. I applied for a job to work as a drone pilot for the ski company. Steely Dead video. And Doug's bonus videos. Oh, taxes. Website. Got to update that with some good footage. I got a new logo. I need business cards. I'm going to go to a networking meeting tomorrow at this new bagel shop. We got a new bagel shop in town. Business cards. Yeah. I want to make an app for this show. There's a radio station that I like to listen called Jump Radio, and they do their radio station through an app, then it would be so cool. Speaking of which, check this out. Boom! There's your community-supported QR code if you'd like to make a donation to the show. This show is community-supported. So if you like what's going on here and want to see more, please feel free to donate. The shows will continue to be put out for free, but we get higher production value if you give me money. So, and I can do more of them. So feel free to donate. And how cool is that? Yeah, we got ourselves a little QR code. I'll feel so proud of myself. I can flip it on and off. Donate now. Oh, too late. No, now. Okay, too late. Anyways, so yeah, there you go. All right, we got our little list. That's that. Now let's check out our favorite, everybody's favorite, the Daily Stoic 366 Meditations on Wisdom, Perseverance, and the Art of Living by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you putting this work together. It helps me often. Every time I read it, it really does help. So thanks a lot. That said, before we jump into this and see what it has to say for the day, let me let you into my head. I am elated. I am feeling very validated and accomplished and successful. And those are feelings that, as much as I earned them, I don't get to feel them too often. It's mostly adversity in my world and trying to overcome that. And I think that that's part of the reason that this is so exciting, is that I believe I'm declaring that this is the end of that. I'm declaring that this check is a symbol and a representation of me turning the page on the chapter in my life where I suffered and struggled and had to experience adversity to get to this point. Like I was saying, I think that the biggest lesson that I've learned about this whole thing is it wasn't about getting here. It was about the transformation that occurred on the road along the way and who I've become to be able to be a steward of this money and to be the kind of guy who can embody being successful and do that with class and elegance and not let money ruin me. So that has been the deeper gift along the journey. But to have the actual dollars is the moment in time where I can make the declaration. I can pat myself on the back and say, I did it. I have officially achieved at the level that I've set out to achieve. And now I have a baseline that I will hopefully never go below. And therefore, I am now successful. I have money. I can afford my life. I can afford my rent. I can afford my bills. I'll have thousands of dollars left over every single month. And that's going to be the game changer. I'm going to start working my way out of this debt that I've been in for 30 years, 20 years, and get out of debt and be debt free. And then we can take this show back on the road. Because I never gave up my vision of travel. I never abandoned the dream to travel. I just decided I needed to come up with a better way. Traveling till I was broke and then coming home and living at my parents' house and working to make money, living rent free so that I could go travel again. It started to get, after the 10th year, it started to get old. And I was like, I got to find a better way. And so for the last 10 years, I've been working on this dream, which is figuring out a way to make money doing something that I love, which then will allow me to travel. And now with the drone business, all of my travel trips they're a tax write-off. Now they're not vacations, they're business trips. I bring the drone with me and I go to Thailand, and now maybe I can negotiate a deal where I get to stay in the suite if I make videos of the hotel and give them to them. And so I really put myself in an amazing position to have the bigger picture of the dream come into a reality where I'm now living it. And I'm really excited. And then the next dream is to build the hostel. And so, again, this is all starting to come into picture now that I've got some money. Also, by the way, if you want to help me build the hostel, donate now. Donate now. And you too can come stay at the hostel once I build it. So feel free. There's no limit to the amount that you can donate. But go ahead and use that QR code there and make a donation. If you make a donation of $100,000 or more, I will build you a building in your name that you will be able to stay at whenever you choose to come visit. It's probably going to be somewhere in Central America. So that is for $100,000 donations and above. You will get your own building. I will name it after you. And anytime that you want to come stay at it, you will be welcome to come stay at it rent free, free of charge. So feel free to donate now. 100 grand, 100 grand plus. So, yeah, like I was kind of going on about, I'm feeling successful and I'm feeling accomplished and validated. And those aren't experiences I get to have too often. It's been a long road of struggle and strife and uphill battles that really beat me down and that a lot of times were hard to get back up knowing that you're just going to get kicked in the teeth again. But it's that or die. So, or give up on the dream. And now giving up on the dream was never an option. So it's that or die. And yeah, it was hard. It was really hard. And now I've achieved and I've overcome all that adversity. It's all behind me. And I'm sure there's more adversity ahead, but for now, victory, success, win. And like I said, I don't know. I'm a little lost for words around it because I don't get to experience it too often. So I'm still sort of processing it. I'm still sort of absorbing and considering that the hard part's over. I won. I did it. And from now on, it's only going to get easier. It's, this is the hardest it's ever going to be. And I'm only going to get better. The better I get, the more money I can charge. And so now I have this baseline, this base level that it only goes up from there. And that's, again, I'm just considering all this stuff right now. I haven't really had time to think about it. So you saw me open this thing on the show. I don't know. It's pretty wild. So feeling good, feeling accomplished, feeling like a winner. So now let's see what the Daily Stoic has to say about when you're feeling accomplished or a winner or anything. Let's just see what it has to say about the 29th. We're last, let's see, 24th. All right, the 29th. Character is fate. Oh, I love where this one is going already. If this isn't already right in line with what I was just sharing. Character is fate. After having to struggle through all that adversity to get to this moment in time and to feel this moment of success and achievement, character is fate. Yeah, you're goddamn right. Let's see what else it has to say. Each person acquires their own character, but their official roles are designated by chance. You should invite some to your table because they are deserving, others because they may come to deserve it. Seneca, Moral Letters 47.15b. In the hiring process, most employees look at where someone went to school, what jobs they've held in the past. This is because past success can be an indicator of future success. But is it always? There are plenty of people who were successful because of luck. Maybe they got into Oxford or Harvard because of their parents. And what about a young person who hasn't had the time to build a track record? Are they worthless? Of course not. This is why character is a far better measure of a man or a woman. Not just for jobs, but for friendships, relationships, for everything. Heraclitus put it as a maxim. Character is fate. When you seek to advance your own position in life, character is the best lever. Perhaps not in the short term, but certainly over the long term. And the same goes for the people you invite into your life. Oh man, Daily Stoic nailed it. Character is fate. Well, if that isn't the truth in my situation, as I was just detailing for you, I have the character to overcome adversity. I have the character to be self-aware and to be able to assess where I am weak and then make the active, conscious choices to improve. and that's got me fired up a little bit. Character is fate, and another thing about that is that this is part of the reason that I love what I'm doing is that I get to allow my character to come out. When I had to work for somebody else, you have to put on that hospitality smile. Asshole to you, you don't get to tell them fuck off, and so you have to hide your character. You have to cover it up so that you can conform into a corporate world where you have to do the dance and wear the monkey suit. And now I'm out on my own. And I've always been out on my own, even when I was in those corporate jobs where I would get fired. And because I would just tell that customer to fuck off because it was hard for me to cover up my character. It always has been. And now, not only do I not have to cover it up, I get to let it shine. I get to let it show and accentuate a lot of what I'm doing as far as the business deals and how I'm running my business and negotiating these deals and handling the clients. And it's really neat. I feel like I'm finally living into my potential. I feel like I've always been robbed of my time and my ability to live into my potential because I had to go to work. And now that I've created my own business and work is work that I make up and that I want to do, and I get paid more money than I would working for somebody else, and it's all mine. I'm really living into my potential, and finally, the feeling that I have is it feels the same way I did when I started traveling. And I listened to my heart for the first time, and I stopped listening to my parents, and I stopped listening to my friends, and I finally started doing what I wanted to do with my life, which was just walk around the world. And even though I didn't have any money, I went and did it anyway. And it was amazing. And there was this feeling of being alive. There was this excitement when my eyes opened in the morning of what am I going to do today? I don't have any money, but I'm in this foreign land and it's free to walk around. So I'm just going to go explore. And that's what I would do. And there was this thrill of I have no idea what's going to happen today, but I can't wait to see what it is. And that's exactly how it is running my own business. Is I have no idea what's going to happen today, but I cannot wait to see what it is. And so with that, we will wrap this show. The turning point, big victory, 4,500, and this is only half the check. So now we're going to go deposit it in the bank and continue to celebrate. Man, I'm stoked. This is a good day. So I hope that you're able to create a life that you feel like you've built that allows you to access your highest potential. I know a lot of times my struggling and my suffering in life came from having to go to work. It really did. It came from having to work for somebody else. And there was a bitterness and a resentment and like a disdain for my own reality, not for them, not for the job, for me. And now that I get to work for myself, I'm excited to see what the day has to bring. And so I hope that if you're in a situation where you don't like your reality, that you decide to make the choices to change it. If you've watched this show at all, you know this has not happened overnight. You know that this has been a long 2-year process of quitting working at the restaurant over at the Red Mountain, or not quitting, getting fired, working at the restaurant over at the Red Mountain Grill, to being unemployed for my off season and going out to LA and deciding that I wanted to be a drone pilot, finding out my best friend's brother was a drone pilot, and he hooked me up with the course. I did all the work, and on the drive back, stopped in Las Vegas to get my drone pilot certification at the airport in Las Vegas. And by the time I got back to Aspen, was a certified drone pilot, and I had a drone waiting at my door. And that was 2 years ago in April. And it's been a rocky road. I haven't known how to pay my rent. I haven't had enough money for food. I got $100 in my bank account right now. And so, it's been a struggle and it's been really hard, but it took making the choice to make my reality different. I didn't like the way that it was then, and it's taken from then all the way to right now to make it different. So it's not like you get to just make a choice to make decisions that are better for you for a week. It's like you gotta keep going until you get there, And I heard somebody say, success and failure are on the same road, The only difference is that failure, you get off first. And so as long as you don't get off the road, you'll hit success. And when you hit success, you'll find yourself living a life where you're excited to see what the day's going to bring, but you're excited to see. And so I wish for you to have a reality like that. I hope that my journey has been some sort of an inspiration in helping you get there. I hope that, me making decisions like getting sober. I mean, I'm not, whatever, I'm not 100% sober. I still get fucked up. But I'm just saying, in general, my decision to stop drinking alcohol, and then really, I stopped smoking weed for a long time. And then recently I've started smoking weed at night. And I don't seem to mind that too much. But it's weird how in the day I'll go to smoke weed and I'll put it back down. Like, I don't want to be stoned in the middle of my day. So, these are the kinds of decisions that I've made that have, without question, they're glaring, obvious choices that impacted success, that created success in my life. So these are some of the choices that I'm talking about. These are some of the hard choices that, not everybody's going to make them, but the people who do, you're going to probably find success quicker is my guess. Is what happened to me. So, and it wasn't quick. It took a long time for me to make those choices. So with that, I'm your host, landing like a plane, and I'm taking off.